Hey y'all, really quick disclaimer before I jump into the video. I am not a medical professional, but I do believe that us as black women experience depression and anxiety in a special way. Culturally, we are defined as being resilient and strong, so when we aren't able to be that, we unknowingly self-inflict pain by thinking that something is wrong with us. That results into shame, and in the end we suffer in silence. And I do think that mental health awareness is really important. Not a lot of colored people are advocates for it. So without further ado, I debated on whether or not I even wanted to film and upload this video, but my best friend at the time always told me that I should write a book about my life. Now, since I am no author, I decided, why not just film a YouTube video, you know? Now they say, be careful what you put on the internet, because once it's out there, it's out there. But I am not ashamed. I believe that one of the most powerful ways to connect with other people is through your story. So I am here to be completely transparent with you guys. I had a lot of questions on my natural to relaxed video, and since the two are kind of connected with one another, I just decided to talk about the both of them in one video. I started my natural hair journey back in 2014. I cut my hair a few months before graduation, guys, so I went from this to this. I did regret it at the time because it was a few months before graduation and I didn't have my long hair. So yes, it was very superficial, but hey, what 17-year-old isn't superficial? Guilty. So fast forwarding about 5 months after that, I found out that I was pregnant. By this time, it was around October. I had just turned 18 years old and I was carrying my Nyla. She was 5 weeks in the womb. I touched on it in my first video and said I wouldn't get into depth, but this is the video where I am getting into depth and just sharing with you guys my story. I apologize for the tears in advance. I already feel them coming. Okay, my pregnancy was like one of the darkest times of my life. I was very stressed out. I wasn't in the best environment. I wasn't in the best headspace. Not a lot of people know this because I don't really talk to too many people outside of YouTube, but I was homeless for 3 months, the last 3 months of my pregnancy. I was living in a shelter. And before I even found a shelter that would invite me and my unborn child into their home, I slept in my car for 3 nights. I was big and pregnant, sleeping in my car. How did I get into this situation? So basically I was living with my brother and I wasn't supposed to. My family isn't really like other families. I don't have much support from anyone. Kind of just have myself, and that's how it's always been. Not only did I have to worry about me and my unborn child, but I also had to take my mom into consideration because she was in the same situation as I was. We were both staying in the shelter. We were both sleeping in my car. And the guy that I was seeing at that time made me feel very inadequate, and I was in a headspace where I didn't really know my self-worth, and I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to raise my kid the way that I wanted to raise her because of the situation I got myself in. So my reality at that time was very cynical. I didn't really know how to be very positive because growing up, I had to see my mom experience a lot of abuse. So she wasn't really able to be there for me the way I needed her to be there for me. When I was 6 months pregnant, I picked up 2 jobs. I was working about 70+ hours a week up until the day I had my daughter. without really realizing it, I started neglecting myself. And when I was going into labor, my placenta separated from my uterus because there wasn't enough fluid, and I had to have an emergency C-section to get my daughter out quickly because she couldn't breathe. So after Nyla's birth, we experienced a lot of problems. She had gotten pneumonia about twice, and the last time I brought her home from the hospital was the last time I got to hold her alive, you know. Gave her breathing treatment, went in the shower after I put her to sleep. When I came back, she wasn't breathing, so that experience alone kind of traumatized me, and for about 3 months I wasn't properly taking care of myself. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't really doing much, to be honest with you. I lost a lot of weight and my hair was shedding so bad. When I would take a shower and run my hands through my hair, I could feel the strands just sliding down my back, and I'd feel these long strands in between my fingers. I was losing my hair. And that's when I knew that it was time for me to start taking care of myself, guys. I wasn't really communicating with anyone. I didn't know if I should, because I didn't want people to think that I was weak. So I pretty much just kept everything in. But at the time, I mean, I didn't really feel like anybody knew what I was going through or could really relate or understand. So I lost a lot of friends. I wasn't communicating with her dad. I wasn't really speaking to my mom. I was in a deep depression, y'all. I was in a deep depression. It felt like I had no way out. It felt like I was going crazy. But I'm no longer in that headspace, thank God. I think it's important for us to find happiness in ourselves, because putting that responsibility on others is just gonna cause us disappointment. Let's be real. I owe YouTube and self-help books all the glory, because that's what has gotten me through it. And self-motivation, having a sense of direction, is one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you guys. It's hard. It's hard. Trust me, it is hard. But easy come, easy go. As long as you can sustain that mentality and continue to push forward and continue to see your future in a positive light, then you're making progress, and that's all that matters. For me, I watched a lot of self-love videos on YouTube, and I also started studying this book named The Book of Joy. If you're interested, I will have that linked in the description box. But to this day, I am still studying joy in ways that I can find it. But another big piece of advice that I can give you guys is perspective. I'm not in any way trying to invalidate anyone's situations or how they feel, but there's always someone that has it much worse than you. And if you can shift your perspective and look at it in that light, it'll lessen your suffering and make your situation become a little bit more bearable. I believe in compassion and kindness and love. I don't think that there's enough of that these days, but that's besides the point. So I encourage you guys to have a sense of direction, because you can also find happiness in that, especially if it's something that you're passionate about. For me, that is photography and YouTube. I've always had a creative spirit. Always had a creative spirit since I was a kid. So writing poetry and writing songs, because I do sing every now and then, was pretty therapeutic for me. So if you guys can find something that you love doing that brings you happiness, that you're passionate about, I suggest that you guys go for it, because regardless of your past or your circumstances, you know that you can always turn to that for a sense of joy, you know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling here, but after I started losing my hair, I decided that I was going to text lax. It's really hard for me to find the time or find the motivation, that's the better word, find the motivation to want to comb my hair. It was too much. I text laxed November 11th, 2016. And I've never gone back since. I love how easy it is to manage. It's less time consuming. I'm able to see more length because obviously less shrinkage. And most importantly, I have less shedding. Yes, I still have shedding, obviously everyone does, but it's definitely not as much as it was when I was going through what I was going through. I hope that you guys were able to take a thing or two from this video. I want you guys to know that it is just hair at the end of the day, at least to me. I don't want any hate because I said that. That's personally how I feel. It's just hair, guys. Ultimately, what matters most is your state of mind, whether you are happy or not.